Hey, this is Neil. It's May 10th, 2024, and this video is on the unique ID generation that's now in the Surfey API. So the goal of this is I wanted a 10 characters, base 36, so A through Z, 0 through 9, and relatively densely packed, and also lexically sorts based on the date and time. And I tried a lot of different stuff, and what I've ended up with is essentially nanoseconds, but broken down, divided a little bit. So I do a bit shift by 7. So if you think about the date and time being stored in possibly 8 bytes typically, I'm really only using 7 bytes to generate the ID. And then on top of that, I check to see if the ID already exists. So the small ID test will generate a small ID. You can pass in a date so you can see what this would look like for a particular day. And the epoch for this is 2023, so 2024 starts with a 0 prefix, and if we look forward to say 2028, you see it goes up to 9 there and then beyond. And I also have a little count parameter you can try out here, which just adds that many years to whatever the date is. So you can see what that would look like, that ID, if it was based on the next year and the next year and the next year. And really what I was trying to do was make it more densely populated for the next few years. So you can see up until, is that like 10 years, we have really good density. And then once you get to 100 years, it up into 100 years, it starts to spread out more. So the ID will work great with less collisions in the near future, and then potentially more collisions in the far future when clouds will be much faster, so we won't have to worry about collisions as much. But it's still a significant number of bytes. 7 bytes is a lot of data for an ID, so I don't think we're going to run out of space. And it's small enough that you can glance at them and they kind of make sense. So on top of this, now we have unique ID. So if we call unique ID, this will actually create a temporary file in this folder, and that file will be the ID, and it uses the integrity check that Google Cloud Storage provides, so we can make sure that this particular ID, this file, didn't exist before. So in this case, there we go. That's the one I just created. If I tried to create that again, it would fail. And so I can test that because I have a date parameter on this as well. So we could say if the date was May 1st, this is what the ID would be. And if I try to create that again, it's going to fail. And so that's great. That's how it works. It tends to take, at least locally, maybe half a second, and so it goes on production as well. So creating a unique ID where we check the integrity of it is slow because we're using Google Cloud Storage integrity. But since this is for initial video uploads and that sort of thing, it's not something that happens very often. So if you need an ID and you don't worry about collisions, then you just call small ID. If you need something that's unique, which is the same thing but just ensures uniqueness for the particular time period, then you call unique ID. And when I say particular time period, we're not going to keep track of every single ID that ever gets generated. It's really just the past 24 hours, again using Google Cloud Storage's automatic cleanup rules, the lifetime rules. So if you try to create the same ID after that 24-hour period, it's going to let you. So this is really just a temporary sliding window, which is okay because what we really want to do is just create IDs based on the current date and time, which is always moving forward, just as unique ID window is always moving forward. The other change then to the API is the V endpoint. When it's listing out IDs, since they're always sequential based on date, you can pass in either a date parameter or you can pass in the actual ID string. So in this case, what I do for the MVP, just to test this out, is I'm passing in a date parameter. See, I don't know if you can see that. The start date is the 10th and the end date is 11th. And I have to fix this. This is going to be another video, but unfortunately the date in Pico, or at least these controls, is year, month, day. And then I assume that's UTC because I don't know what the locale is when I'm on the server. And so this starts to look a little funky at the end of the day. I'll probably fix that in the UI side. I just haven't done that yet. So these are UTC dates, but they're rendered local dates. So the filter is UTC. But it does this by just detecting that the parameter parses as a date, because an ID parameter will never parse as a date. And that's it. You can pass in not only the date, but you can pass in a full date time string as you would have in JavaScript. So if you wanted to, you could pass in that, and that would give you, that would find an ID as the starting token, and then the end token you do something similar. So this allows us to use the full gamut of our 10 base 36 characters, densely populated over the next few years, and lexically sort and matching date sorting. So there you go.